Introduction. Amid the hustle and chaos of modern life, we often feel as though we're drowning in a vast ocean of stress and uncertainty. Work pressures, personal conflicts, unexpected setbacks, these waves crash over us again and again, leaving us disoriented, exhausted, and at times even hopeless. Yet within that storm, there always exists a quiet space, a place of inner stillness and peace that no one can take from us, if only we know how to return to it. This is the path of Stoicism, a philosophy that has withstood the test of time, carrying with it profound messages about how to live a strong, calm, and meaningful life. Imagine this: no matter what life throws at you, be it work stress, misunderstandings in your relationships, or emotional wounds that come without warning, you can still remain standing, unshaken, true to yourself, steady like a rock amidst a raging river. That's not a fantasy. That is the very essence of Stoicism: mastering your emotions, controlling your reactions, and living a life guided by reason, not ruled by the chaos of external events. This philosophy isn't a set of abstract theories that you have to memorize through effort. On the contrary, it's made up of practical principles distilled from real-life experience, from people who faced adversity and rose with greater strength. These principles can become powerful tools to help you build inner resilience, keep you grounded through the turbulence of everyday life, and gradually lead you to a deep, unshakable sense of peace from within. Whether you're struggling in a difficult relationship, overwhelmed by responsibilities, or simply seeking a deeper sense of meaning in your life, Stoicism can offer you a compass to navigate by. A value system that helps you not just survive, but grow steadily, deeply, and freely. And today we will explore 10 timeless principles that have the potential to transform the way you face life itself. Principle 1. Firm purpose. Imagine yourself adrift on a vast ocean, without a map, without knowing where the shore is. You're pushed around by the wind and tossed by the waves, with nothing solid to anchor you, no direction to guide your way. That's what life feels like when we don't have a clear purpose. In the philosophy of Stoicism, a firm purpose is more than just a sense of direction. It's an anchor for your soul in the midst of life's storms. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show a person's character, and the greater the difficulty, the greater the glory in overcoming it." This isn't just a motivational quote, it's an invitation to live intentionally, with clarity and courage. A firm purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's not about shallow goals like wealth or status. It is the result of deep reflection, those quiet moments when you ask yourself, what truly matters in my life? What kind of person do I want to become? What values am I willing to live for? When you can answer those questions with complete honesty, you begin to uncover your direction. And once your purpose becomes clear, it acts as a compass, guiding your steps, even when everything around you feels chaotic. Life will inevitably challenge you. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, when your efforts seem to lead nowhere. But it is precisely in those moments that a firm purpose keeps you from collapsing. It transforms seemingly insurmountable obstacles into stepping stones. When you know exactly what you're living for, the world becomes less intimidating. Mountains become manageable. What once seemed like an overwhelming journey becomes a series of intentional, meaningful steps towards something greater. Take time to reflect and write down your purpose. It doesn't need to be lofty or poetic, just honest. And then each day, live by it. Protect it. Let it guide your actions, your decisions, your relationships. In Stoicism, a firm purpose is not simply a destination. It is a guiding light in the dark, a source of inner strength that no storm can shake. Principle 2. Guarding the mind. The human mind is like a garden. If you don't tend to it carefully, weeds will grow and spread, choking the green shoots of peace and clarity. In the modern world, where we're bombarded daily with countless streams of information, faced with constant pressure and emotional friction, protecting the mind, as the Stoic philosophers taught, is not just an option, but a vital necessity. Epictetus emphasized that negative emotions don't arise from external events, but from how we perceive and interpret them. This means we always have a choice. We can either let offensive words, disappointing situations, or unexpected difficulties cause us to lose our temper and control, or we can preserve a space of stillness, a calm rooted deep within. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you're strengthening your mental muscle, a form of inner discipline that helps you remain steady in the face of adversity. Guarding the mind also means being mindful of what you allow to enter your inner world. Just as you wouldn't willingly invite garbage into your home, you shouldn't let toxic thoughts, harmful gossip, or damaging content take root in your mind. Choose instead to read things that inspire you, engage in conversations that uplift you, and surround yourself with values and influences that help you grow into a better version of yourself. This isn't easy. It requires daily practice, like a warrior sharpening their sword before battle. One of the most effective tools is mindfulness, pausing, observing your emotions, and identifying your thoughts before you act. Over time, you'll begin to notice the space between stimulus and response widening, and in that space you'll find freedom. Freedom from anger, freedom from anxiety, freedom from the helplessness that once held you back. When you learn to guard your mind, you are no longer a victim of circumstance, you become the one in control. And in a world as unpredictable and turbulent as ours, that is a strength unlike any other. Principle 3. Handling criticism. Throughout your life, you will inevitably encounter judgment and criticism, sometimes from strangers and sometimes from those you love the most. Criticism can feel like an arrow piercing your self-worth, leaving you hurt, full of doubt, and even questioning your direction. But through the lens of Stoicism, we learn that what truly wounds us is not the words of others, but how we receive and interpret them. We cannot control what others think or say, but we always have the power to choose how we respond. Epictetus once taught, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." With this perspective in mind, when someone criticizes you, instead of reacting defensively or with anger, pause and ask yourself, is there some truth in this? Is there something I can learn here? If the criticism is valid, then it is a valuable opportunity for growth. If it isn't, why allow it to trouble your peace? To remain calm in the face of criticism, the first thing you need is deep self-understanding. When you act from a place of inner clarity, when you know what values you live by and where your actions stem from, the words of others lose their power to shake you. Self-awareness becomes your armor against the emotional volatility of the outside world. Facing criticism is also a chance to cultivate patience and compassion. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will see the effort you're putting in. Sometimes, harsh words from others are a reflection of the pain they carry, rather than an accurate reflection of who you are. Realizing this makes it easier to respond with gentleness, even kindness, to those who criticize you. Maturely accepting criticism not only helps you grow, but it also sets an example for others. When people see you respond with grace, openness, and a willingness to learn, they are inspired by your strength. You become a model of resilience and wisdom. Because in Stoicism, strength is not measured by being free from criticism, but by the ability to transform it into a force that makes you more grounded, more thoughtful, and more true to yourself with each passing day. Principle 4. Transforming offense. There are moments when just a careless remark or an unfriendly glance can leave us feeling wounded. We carry these offenses like small, lingering scratches on the surface of our minds, quiet but persistent. Yet, Epictetus, one of the founding fathers of Stoic philosophy, revealed a liberating truth. What hurts us is not the actions or words of others, but the way we think about them. It is our mind, not the outside world, that determines the depth of the pain we feel. When someone offends you, the first thing to remember is this: you have a choice. You can let their words make you angry, closed off, and reactive. Or you can take a step back, observe the emotions rising within you, and ask yourself, why does this hurt me? That single question opens a door inward, into a space where you can reflect, confront your feelings, and choose a response that aligns more deeply with your values. Transforming offense doesn't mean denying your emotions or pretending you aren't affected. On the contrary, it takes courage to face your emotions with honesty, and then to shift your perspective toward one of compassion and understanding. Perhaps the person who offended you is struggling with their own pain. Perhaps they're acting unconsciously, driven by fear, insecurity, or past wounds. When you see things through this lens, there's no need to strike back, because your compassion is already calming the storm within you. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, does not mean excusing wrongdoing. It simply means releasing the burden from your own heart. Holding on to offense is like clutching a burning coal, hoping the other person will feel the heat, while it is you who suffers the burn. When you forgive, you liberate yourself. You reclaim ownership of your emotions and create space within for lightness and clarity. And with each moment you choose to transform offense into compassion, understanding, and quiet dignity, you will realize this: you are not only stronger, you are freer. Freer from the need for validation, freer from emotional volatility, and freer from the inner storms that others may unknowingly stir within you. This is the quiet, noble power of Stoicism, not to be untouched by life, but to rise above it with grace. Principle 5. Overcoming fear and shame. Fear and shame, two quiet yet powerful emotions, can seep into our lives and quietly take over our inner world. We fear failure, judgment, and not being good enough. We carry shame for past mistakes, for things we've done, or for things we never had the courage to do. But one of the most important teachings Stoic philosophy offers is this: fear and shame do not originate from the events themselves, but from the way we interpret them. Epictetus emphasized that it is we who assign meaning to what happens, and it is from that meaning that negative emotions arise. Once you understand this, you begin to take back control. You start to see that the first step in overcoming fear is not avoidance, but confrontation. Pause and ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? When you break the fear down into smaller parts and look directly at it, you'll often find that most of it is a product of exaggerated imagination. Fear thrives in the darkness of the mind, but when you shine the light of reason upon it, it shrinks, becomes smaller, more manageable. The same is true for shame. Who among us hasn't made mistakes? Stoicism doesn't teach us to run from them or to forget them, but rather to learn and grow from them. When you face your past with honesty and self-compassion, you transform shame into a lesson, into strength. Forgiving yourself is the first step toward healing. It doesn't mean erasing accountability, but it does mean creating a lighter, stronger heart with which to move forward. Overcoming fear and shame is not a one-day event. It's a journey, a process of small steps, brave choices, and moments of quiet courage where you choose not to be chained by the past or by anxious imaginings of the future. And the good news is, you don't have to walk that path alone. The presence of someone you trust, someone who will listen and understand, can be a vital part of your healing. Stoicism reminds us that true freedom doesn't come from controlling the outside world, but from mastering our inner world. When you learn to face fear and forgive yourself, you are walking, step by step, toward that freedom, a freedom that is deep, enduring, and entirely your own. Principle 6. Anticipating obstacles on the journey of life. No one walks without stumbling. Obstacles are inevitable. Not a sign that you're on the wrong path, but proof that you're alive, trying, and growing. For the Stoic-minded, rather than fearing the difficulties that lie ahead, they learn to welcome them with careful preparation of the mind. Epictetus called this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of possible misfortunes. It's not about living with pessimism, but about living with awareness, readiness, and calm. Imagine you're preparing for an important meeting. Instead of merely hoping everything goes perfectly, the practicing Stoic will ask, what could go wrong? Technical issues, a difficult conversation partner, my own nerves. And from there they imagine how they would respond, how they would stay composed, how they would adapt. By preparing their mind for these possibilities, they remove the power of the unexpected to control their emotions. When surprises come, they are not shaken, they are ready. The ability to anticipate obstacles also eases stress and disappointment. Rather than clinging to rigid expectations of ideal outcomes, you learn to be flexible, to accept that things may not go as planned. When your mind is already prepared for change, you become more adaptable, less easily wounded. You begin to understand that a disrupted plan isn't a failure, it's simply part of the process. Anticipating difficulty is also a powerful way to build perseverance. When you understand that every journey includes bumpy roads, you're less likely to feel discouraged when you hit one. Instead of thinking, why me, you'll say, this is the challenge I expected, and I've prepared for it. That mindset shift turns you from a passive recipient of hardship into an active participant in your own growth. Like every Stoic practice, this skill requires consistency. Make it a habit to reflect regularly. What might go wrong? How will I respond? Each time you engage in this exercise, you are building a stronger mindset, one that can remain steady even when the storm rolls in. And when that storm does come, you'll find yourself standing, not by chance, but by choice, calm, grounded, and ready. Principle 7. Inner strength. It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. This seemingly simple statement by Epictetus holds a profound truth, a truth that reveals a strength not found in muscles or status, but deep within the soul, the power of deliberate response, of a steady and grounded inner life. In this world, you cannot escape life's unpleasant moments. A harsh criticism from someone close, an unexpected failure, a sudden event that shakes you to the core. But in every situation, you are presented with a choice to react impulsively or to respond with reason and calm. Inner strength does not come from suppressing emotions, but from the ability to recognize and understand them. When anger rises, instead of letting it explode, you pause and ask, why am I angry? Does this reaction serve my values? That single moment of self-inquiry is a powerful step forward because it creates the space you need to choose a response that aligns with who you truly are, rather than being swept away by the current of emotion. Stoicism also teaches us to distinguish clearly between what is within our control and what is not. The reactions of others, the outcomes of events, the changing tides of circumstance, all these lie beyond our grasp. But your own reactions, your thoughts, your actions, those are always yours to govern. When you let go of the need to control the external world and instead focus on mastering your inner world, you will feel lighter, more peaceful, and stronger than ever before. Forgiveness is also an essential part of inner strength. Not because the other person necessarily deserves it, but because you deserve freedom. Holding on to anger and resentment drains your energy and dims your spirit. But when you choose to let go, you liberate yourself from the chains of the past. Ultimately, inner strength is something built over time, through every failure you rise from, through every moment you choose calm over anger, reason over impulse. And slowly but surely, you become more resilient, more composed. Not because the world has become gentler, but because you have learned how to walk through it with the quiet steadiness of a soul that knows how to master itself. Principle 8. Restraining actions. There is an invisible strength that often goes unnoticed, yet it greatly determines the quality of our lives, the ability to restrain our actions, to pause for just a moment before we react. In an age where everything moves at lightning speed, where emotions can erupt over a message, a glance, or a careless word, the ability to respond slowly and thoughtfully has become both an art and a path to inner growth. Stoicism teaches us that it is not emotions themselves that cause suffering, but our decision to let those emotions dictate our actions. When someone cuts you off in traffic, it's natural to feel a surge of anger, but your reaction, whether it's yelling, retaliating, or calmly continuing your drive, is entirely your choice. Between stimulus and response, there is always a space, and within that space lies freedom, the freedom to act in alignment with your values, instead of reacting impulsively. Restraint also means the ability to delay gratification. In a world that promotes fast consumption, instant entertainment, and quick rewards, the ability to wait, to endure, to remain patient has become more valuable than ever. The Stoic chooses long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. They understand that the most meaningful things in life require time, discipline, and effort. Self-restraint also manifests in the way we communicate. In moments of anger, the easiest thing is to lash out with sharp words. But wisdom lies in knowing when to remain silent, or when to speak with intention, not to win an argument, but to understand and be understood. Restraint in speech not only protects you from unnecessary conflict, but also reflects the highest form of emotional maturity. To restrain is not to be weak or passive. On the contrary, it is the strength of someone who understands themselves and chooses to govern their behavior. You are no longer a slave to fleeting emotions, but the steady captain of your own ship, navigating life with clarity and control. And the more you practice this discipline, the more peace you will feel, not because life has grown calmer, but because you have learned how to steady your hand, even in the stormiest of seas. Principle 9. The power of acceptance. We often spend a great deal of energy resisting what has already happened. When we lose a job, when a relationship ends, when illness or failure strikes, our first reaction is usually to push back, to complain, and to worry endlessly. But the Stoic understands that in these moments, the wisest thing is not to rush to change the circumstances, but to accept reality as it is. For it is only through acceptance that we gain the clarity, calm, and strength needed to respond wisely and effectively. Acceptance in Stoic philosophy is not passive surrender or resignation. It is an active choice of the mind, a conscious decision that says, I will not waste my energy resisting what I cannot change. Instead, I will focus on how I respond, how I move forward. When you accept reality, you free yourself from the cycles of resentment and frustration. You stop asking, why me, and begin asking, What can I do with this situation? Practicing acceptance also allows you to live more honestly with yourself. We all have flaws, we all carry past mistakes, and parts of ourselves that are still unfinished. Constantly demanding perfection from yourself only creates tension and feeds a sense of failure. But when you accept yourself as you are, with both strengths and weaknesses, with an imperfect history, you open the door to inner peace and genuine self-respect. In relationships, acceptance is also the foundation of understanding and love. No one is perfect. No one will always behave exactly as you wish. When you learn to accept others with all their complexity and limitations, you become less disappointed and more compassionate. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse or injustice, but rather recognizing that people cannot always change to fit your expectations, and choosing to engage with them in a way that is respectful, reasonable, and without bitterness. And finally, acceptance is the shortest path to gratitude. When you stop fighting what is lacking, you begin to see what is already present, even in the smallest things. It is in this understanding, in this alignment with reality, that you discover a powerful kind of inner freedom, a freedom that does not require control over everything, but stands firm in the face of anything. Principle 10. Living according to nature. Living according to nature. It may sound simple, but in Stoic philosophy, this is the core principle that leads to a life of peace and integrity. Nature here does not refer only to trees, skies, or rivers, but also to the true nature of human beings, a rational, moral creature capable of living in harmony with others and with the universe. When you live in alignment with that nature, you stop chasing after social expectations or being pulled by endless desires. You begin to act with sincerity, simplicity, and balance. To live according to nature means to understand yourself deeply, who you are, what you truly want, and what actually matters to you. No longer trying to become a copy of someone else, you learn to turn inward, to listen to the voice within, and to live according to the values you genuinely hold dear. This is the deepest form of freedom, not the ability to do whatever you want, but the ability to live fully in accordance with what you believe in. Stoicism also emphasizes that human beings are social creatures. That means living according to nature also involves a sense of responsibility toward others. You do not live in isolation. What you do, say, and choose affects those around you. So to live according to nature is also to live kindly, justly, with compassion and fairness toward others. In a fragmented and divided world, simply choosing to live in harmony and kindness has become a powerful act. Living in harmony with nature also means accepting the natural cycles of life: birth, growth, aging, and death. Each stage carries its own beauty and value. When we stop resisting change, we learn to embrace aging as a natural phase, to see failure as a necessary teacher, and to live each day with gratitude for the chance to continue on our journey. Finally, living according to nature is an invitation to return to simplicity. In a noisy world full of distractions and material temptation, Stoicism teaches us to value less but enough, to cherish quietness, and to find joy in small things: a heartfelt conversation, a fresh morning, or an evening spent quietly in reflection. When you live according to nature, you do more than live rightly. You live deeply, truthfully, and fully, even in the simplest of circumstances. This is the life Stoicism points us toward: peace that begins within, harmony with the world, and freedom in every breath. Conclusion. As our journey through the 10 principles of Stoicism comes to a close, one truth stands out more clearly than ever. True strength does not lie in controlling the world around us, but in mastering ourselves. In a world that is constantly changing, where uncertainty is a given and hardship is part of the human condition. The ability to govern our thoughts, emotions, and actions becomes the key that unlocks a lasting sense of peace. Stoicism does not promise a life free from pain. On the contrary, it looks directly at the reality that suffering is a natural part of human existence. But what this philosophy offers is a new way of seeing, a courageous stance in the face of life. You may face failure, heartbreak, or misunderstanding, but you do not have to lose yourself in those moments. You can choose to rise, quietly brush off the dust of time, and continue forward with your dignity intact and with stillness at the core of your being. Through each principle, from defining a firm purpose, practicing self-restraint, to learning forgiveness, embracing acceptance, and living according to nature, you are gradually building a deep inner resilience. A strength that no one can take from you. A strength that doesn't depend on praise or success, on gain or loss. And from that inner strength, you can live a richer, more meaningful life, not just for yourself, but as a source of inspiration to those around you. When you begin to live by these values, you'll come to understand peace is not a final destination, but a way of walking. No longer swept away by every storm, you can stand firm, like a lighthouse amidst the crashing waves, calm, clear, and unwavering. And if Stoic philosophy has touched something within you, even in a small way, let the seeds of that strength and awareness continue to grow. Keep walking this path, keep learning, and keep becoming a steadier, more grounded version of yourself with every day and every hour.